Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
A patient who was supposed to receive 24-hour care through a Minnesota Medicaid program was instead serviced by a fraudster who billed taxpayers for nothing. That patient was later found dead while the crook submitted a $400 claim the day before. And tonight, the Trump administration is cracking down hard on this jaw-dropping betrayal in Tim Walz state. 15 more defendants now face charges in a massive $90 million scheme that drained 7 state-run programs. One program completely empty, $0 left. This is no longer just paperwork fraud. This is about real harm to vulnerable Americans and the urgent need to restore accountability. You see, every dollar stolen from these programs is a dollar that American taxpayers worked hard to earn. When fraudsters treat Medicaid as their personal piggy bank, the people who need help most get nothing while criminals pocket the cash. In Minnesota, this has been happening on a massive scale across multiple programs. One entire housing stabilization program has been shut down because the money's gone. And this is what happens when oversight collapses under progressive governance that prioritizes spending over protecting the public. And the Trump administration is sending a very clear message that the era of consequence-free theft is over. American families deserve to know where their money is going. Yes, to real care, not enriching crooks who let people die. And while the Trump administration cracks down on waste and fraud draining our systems, we got some breaking news that shows how America is securing its critical resources for national strength. This breaking news on America's critical minerals supply chain front. SAGA metals trading in the United States as SAGMF and in Canada as SAGA. They're now emerging as a major story in the race to secure materials tied directly to national defense. Now, in less than 6 months, SAGA has moved with unusual speed, and last week the company announced a 100% drill success rate across all 57 holes at its radar project. And they finished ahead of schedule. Now, that matters because radar is being positioned as a potential host for vital resources that America needs to reduce reliance on foreign adversaries. Check out the in-depth interview with the CEO on this topic I did over the weekend, and check the exclusive briefing. It's linked below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Strong domestic production like this is exactly the kind of accountability and self-reliance the Trump era demands. Now, the drama in Minnesota, it's far from over. One of the fraudsters targeted in this morning's arrest jumped from a 4th-story balcony to escape and is now on the run, although he's limping pretty bad. I think he probably broke his ankle on the way down. Authorities are asking the public for help tracking down Muhammad Omar. I'm not sure if it's any relation to Ilhan, but, you know, it's Minnesota, Somalia, you never know, right? But this Muhammad Omar is accused of scamming $3.3 million through fraudulent home health care businesses. He's believed to be driving a Genesis sedan, and the wild escape attempt shows that these are not simple white-collar mistakes. So let's check in now. We got this fraudster on Tim Walz watch allowed a patient that they were supposed to be caring for die on a taxpayer program. The news here is jaw-dropping betrayal, Eric Doherty writes, and Colin McDonald breaking it down for us. Listen. Do we have no audio? We did before. Okay, just a second here. Let me see if I can get that audio restored. It's always something, right? This is how it's made here at the Next News Network. We'll get that audio for you.
And received no services. This patient was later found dead. Meanwhile, the architect people. For example, one defendant is charged with defrauding the Integrated Community Supports Medicaid program. This program is designed to help individuals with disabilities live independently. One patient was supposed to be receiving 24-hour care through this program, but he was actually being serviced by a fraudster and received no services. This patient was later found dead. Meanwhile, the architect of this fraud scheme was billing Medicaid as if he was providing care to this patient. The defendant even submitted a claim of over $400 for services he never provided the day before this man died. In another example, 2 defendants have been charged for defrauding a program designed to offer medical services to those.
Unbelievable. So the patient died after the fraudster billed Medicaid for care never given. And the Trump DOJ dropping charges against 15 people, not dropping them, but initiating charges against 15 people in the $90 million scheme. This is what the White House posted. The war on fraud, big win. 15 individuals just got indicted in Minnesota for an alleged $90 million healthcare fraud scheme. And here's my problem with this. Of those 15 individuals, you know whose name's missing? Ilhan Omar's name, Tim Walz's name, Keith Ellison's name. Yeah, those are the individuals that we need to see indicted. I mean, I appreciate the fact that they've gone ahead and grabbed these 15 individuals. One of them apparently still on the run, but, you know, we got to get the big fish. All right? How about that? 15 defendants indicted for plundering taxpayer dollars. Kash Patel's FBI shows what real accountability looks like after another massive Minnesota fraud case. So, after the FBI investigation, the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future scandal in Minnesota, defrauding public COVID funds of over $250 million, was just sentenced to 41.5 years in prison. And this is the same individual who pointed out that Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison, Tim Walz likely all knew that this fraud was going on.
Our future fraud. A Minnesota judge has just sentenced the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, Amy Bach. She just got more than 41 years in prison. The prosecution is asking for a 50-year sentence and her defense about 3 years. So that's somewhere in the middle that they got that, but closer to what obviously the prosecution wanted. The scheme involved the theft of nearly $250 million in COVID funding. That money was meant to feed hungry children. State leaders claim they were unaware of the fraud. Here's what Amy Bach told our Alexis McAdams from jail back in January.
I honestly believe Keith Ellison and Governor Walz need to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm. They need to be held accountable. So, yes, I do appreciate the 15 indictments, but I want to see Keith Ellison, Tim Walz, and Ilhan Omar in the next round. Amy Bach getting 41.5 years for stealing COVID funds meant for kids. Dr. Oz is now heading to Minnesota to deliver the same message on Medicaid theft, and he has a special guest with him, Nick Shirley, on our way to Minnesota, where fraudsters are about to leer a hard lesson on stealing from the American taxpayer. Look at that. Nick Shirley, dude, that kid, God bless him. God bless him and everything he's done to expose this fraud. That man deserves a Congressional Medal of Honor. He deserves a Presidential Medal of Freedom for all the things he's doing. But right now he's hanging out with Dr. Oz in what looks like, I'm not sure which jet that is. Couldn't be Air Force One, but one of the executive jets in the fleet. So fraudsters treated state programs like their own bank. One suspect just jumped off a fourth-story balcony to dodge arrest. The FBI announcing one of the Minnesota fraudsters targeted with arrest this morning jumped off a four-story balcony, is now on the run. Video of the suspect can be seen below. Find him and deny him bond. He cannot be allowed to flee the country. Anyone with information should call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go to the FBI's website.
Before I begin my crux of my remarks, I need your help. On the screen, you will see a subject. Depicted on the screen here of an individual who was a target of the investigation this morning. That individual is currently on the run after having jumped out of a fourth-story balcony. I want you to get a good look at him right now. You'll see him. You'll see him running here. He is currently on the run. We need your help. If you recognize this individual, if you know this individual, if you can provide any information related to this individual, I would encourage you to call 1-800-CALL-FBI, CALL-FBI, or go to the internet at www.tips.fbi.gov or call your local law enforcement.
Yeah, so clearly jumping from a four-story balcony to evade capture, you could see him hobbling around there, jumping. So I wouldn't say he's on the run. I'd say he's hobbling on the run. So the fugitive on the run after fleeing authorities. Trump DOJ laying out exactly how these operators drained $90 million from 7 Medicaid programs. So we have some more details on that from the Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald, saying this is the beginning of our work in Minnesota.
Today, we are announcing criminal charges against 15 defendants in Minnesota for fraud schemes that targeted over $90 million in taxpayer dollars. Let me be clear up front about something. This is not the end of our work in Minnesota. This is not the end of the beginning of our work in Minnesota. This is the beginning of our work in Minnesota. The fraud here in Minnesota is shocking. Our cases today involve 7 different state-managed Medicaid programs that have been systematically pilfered by fraudsters who treated Minnesota-run programs as their personal piggy bank. One of the programs has been completely shut down because there's no money left. It's all gone. That was Minnesota's state-run Housing Stabilization Services Program.
So 7 state-managed programs stripped clean, 1 left with $0. Latest update tracks the indicted fraudster behind the wheel of the Genesis sedan. So this is the same video, but here is the visualization.
Before I begin my crux of my remarks, I need your help. On the screen, you will see a subject. You will see a subject depicted on the screen here of an individual who was a target of the investigation this morning. That individual is currently on the run after having jumped out of a fourth-story balcony. I want you to get a good look at him right now. You'll see him. You'll see him running here. He is currently on the run. We need your help. If you recognize this individual, if you know this individual, if you can provide any information related to this individual, I would encourage you to call 1-800-CALL-FBI, CALL-FBI, or go to the internet at www.tips.fbi.gov or call your local law enforcement.
So now you've got the details on what the individual is driving. So this is what real accountability looks like under President Trump. See, the same state that saw over $250 million stolen in the Feeding Our Future scandal now faces fresh charges for another $90 million in Medicaid fraud. And the patient died because services were never provided while the fraudster kept on billing. The mastermind of the earlier COVID food theft just received 41.5 years behind bars. Minnesota is becoming the national example of what happens when massive government programs meet weak oversight and political complacency. The Trump DOJ is making it clear the days of easy extraction are finished. And now, the Minnesota crackdown proves President Trump's keeping his promise to drain the swamp and protect taxpayer dollars from organized fraud networks. The human cost is too high when vulnerable Americans are left without care. So share this video right now so more people see exactly what's happening, and drop a yes or no in the comments. Do you believe that Tim Walz bears responsibility for this systematic failure? Or maybe Ilhan Omar? And text the words raw feed to the secret number on the screen. You see it right there? Look up, look, you see it right there? 844-840-4963. That's how you're going to bypass the algorithm and get direct updates straight to your phone from me. I'll send you the notifications that YouTube won't. Make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. When we demand real consequences and strong leadership, America wins. So stay vigilant and keep fighting for the Republic.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.